All right, you guys, welcome in. How you doing today? Let's see what message wants to come through this morning. This is kind of a big week. We do have Pluto going direct in Capricorn, and we also have Jupiter going retrograde. That happens on the 9th. Pluto goes direct on the 11th. But I want to call your attention to Lilith has been squaring and is squaring, creating a great tension with Pluto. So Lilith is the part of ourselves, the divine feminine part of ourselves that we're most afraid of, or we're most afraid to be, the kind of divine feminine we're most afraid to be. And I feel like that's squaring off against the power structures, right? You're seeing that happening. So I wanted to do a divine feminine reading today, specifically around that, because I noticed that and I thought, heck, what is Lilith doing? So what is the thing? Lilith is in Libra, and Lilith is in Libra, 29 degrees Libra, and Pluto is at 29 degrees Capricorn. So there is that kind of real tension, especially at 29 degrees, which is the anaretic degree, which is the karmic degree. So what Lilith calls us to do is to lean into it. Whatever kind of woman or divine feminine you know you are, but you might be afraid to be during your daily walk around kind of life, it's time to lean in. Okay? So, yep, come to the edge. If that ain't Lilith, I don't know what is. Come to the edge. Breathe. To be fair, there's Libra. Okay, to be fair. And the tribe. Wow. So this is divine feminine energy. And this is a 29 card. This is a 29 card. Breathe. So 29 is a very important number in astrology. It's the final, every sign has 30 degrees, but it doesn't go to 30 degrees. It goes to 0. So it goes, 0 to 29 degrees, 59 minutes, and then 0 again of the next sign. So it's that time where you're just at the very end of some kind of learning or some kind of iteration of your life. You're just at that point when it's time to take a deep breath and lean in. And this has the power here, divine feminines all over the world, leaning in and balancing a lot of the divine masculine energy that has shown a real upsurge, right? That's what happens when something is out of balance. It can't stay. There's no homeostasis there. It can't stay out of balance. It has to either support itself in some other way, or it has to get rebalanced. And I feel like it's supported itself in some other way for quite a long time. There has been a lot of divine feminine energy kind of, sort of a little bit codependently trying to make it okay for the divine masculine right now. But there's a sense now of the divine feminine saying, we are going to stand in this divine feminine power. Okay, so that really is about divine feminines taking back their power, stepping into their power, doing what is nurturing and kind for the environment, nurturing and kind for others, but not at the expense of power, because we have the square to Pluto, which is about transformational power, but it's also about something that is a little outworn, a little outdated. It has to change in order to evolve. And Pluto in Capricorn, now that it's going direct, it will be in Aquarius in the matter of a month, right? November 19th. And it's sort of like it needs this kind of last moment in time for us to, if you haven't gathered the lessons of the last 15 years, you got about a month to do that. And if you have, this is a really good time for you to take stock of everything that you have gone through in the past 15 years. What have you learned on a personal level, but then also the divine feminine kind of taking stock of what have we learned, what haven't we learned, and what's the way forward. So divine feminine really sort of leaning into that energy, that powerful strength. I'm thinking of the strength card, which is feminine power, sort of really leaning into that in order to birth something new, right? Divine feminine energy is the sacral chakra. It is about giving life to something new, someone new. And that's exactly what is happening here. So there's quite a birth energy here. The tribe is about each one of us sort of coming together. So feminine, you could notice in your own life how you might be kind of coalescing with your girl pals, your tribe. You're maybe noticing the power of the feminine energy to love and nurture, and really supportive of that energy. Here in the political situation, you can see that happening in the United States. So that's an interesting kind of angle on this. So let's see where we're going here, Divine Feminine. This is for you. This reading is for you. All right. 2 of Cups underneath, the 10 of Cups, the Ace of Swords, the King of Wands, and the 7 of Cups. I'm going to take the High Priestess here because it does feel like there's a new way forward in terms of how we do love. And I've always thought, maybe in my years of doing twin flame readings, I've always thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if, because I know in recent, I don't know, maybe the last few years, there's been a lot of discussion about how unhealthy twin flame is, and how there's been a lot of a lot of stuff on social media about that. And I don't disagree with those premises, plural, when it's aligned with limerent behavior, it's aligned with fantasy, it's aligned with something that isn't attainable. But I personally, and you may believe this, you may not believe this, I personally believe the Divine Feminine is bringing back love to the planet, really aligning with what does it mean to love another human being? What does it mean to love oneself? And like redefining this for ourselves, because there have been and I've seen this too, you probably have too, about so many divine feminines on this planet kind of just saying, you know what, hard pass. Okay. Hard pass on love relationships. This is not something that is in my energetic expression right now. And 100% true. Y'all have done a lot of really good work. And this isn't about the same old, or the moving into relationships that are toxic or difficult. I feel like or difficult in a way that isn't helpful. Okay. We can have difficult situations and they teach us things, but this is just sort of like doing the cycle over and over again, being in unhealthy places. And Divine Feminine, the most fear, right? If we're talking about Lilith again here, there's a fear. The story of Lilith is she was the first wife of Adam and wanted equality. And so church fathers were like, we're not going to support that nonsense. That's too empowering to women. We're kicking you out. And we're bringing in Eve, who was much more compliant. And that was a more traditional kind of experience. And that was something that became sort of an iconic expression of like what pure love or unconditional love looks like. And I feel like Twin Flame has, and this is just channeling through me right now, Twin Flame has really and is really going to take that conversation to a new level. Okay. Taking the conversation from a place of out of balance. It's become wildly out of balance in our lifetimes. And the truth of it is the feminine with a masculine alignment is a beauty to behold. It is something that will transform. There is something powerful about the feminine strength as evidenced of giving birth. That is something that is an extraordinary thing when you think about it. And that is something that has been under attack. There's been a lot of anti-woman. I don't think I need to go through this with you. I think if you're living in the world, you've experienced this. and also the sort of like, where do we come down on what love is, and how do we reassign love to us as a higher vibe lesson? How do we reassign it as a, okay, all right, we're seeing the yuckiness of this. Lilith is leaning in and saying, you know what? It's fine to see it, and we make jokes about it, you make movies about it. It's fine to do that. But what's the solution? What is the solution? As we're working in our ascension, there has been, and I have experienced this, about an isolation. There's been a sort of like empowered isolation, I guess I would call it. And so, what is the future of love on this planet? Not in terms of internal loving ourselves. I mean, that's another thing that is still in the works. We're still not all that good at it, and at all. And then, what does it mean to have sort of this relationship with another human being that is balanced, that is empowered? What does that even look like? And so I feel like this reading is kind of showing us that we're moving into, even though we can't see it right now, the Seven of Cups, we're going through a strong ascension process right now that is over the next, I'm just going to say, like 5 years. That is a short porch, my friend. Over the next 5 years is going to transform into something that is completely new, that we're all of the lessons that we're learning, we're either learning them and incorporating them, or though anybody who, I forget what it's called, people who aren't really here to do that on this planet, it's like, okay, go off and have those kind of, multi-divorce lives, or unhealthy relationships that get stuck, or whatever it is. It's like, okay, that's not going to be the new experience. And you can decide which one you want. Do you want something that is really life affirming as we go through this ascension together, or do you not? And there's a lot of arguments on all sides here. I'm just putting out what this is showing me. I feel like those of you divine feminines who are watching this are interested in a kind of balanced, life affirming love that starts at the core of you, that is like, I'm good, but it's enjoyable to have a partner. I would like a partner, but it doesn't have to be. I don't need a partner, but it's something that I really am creating. And I feel like around that core, that feminine core, there's a tribe being built right now. There's a tribe being built, and pro divine feminine tribe. And it's not your mother's or your grandmother's feminist kind of thing. It's a much more integrative experience. It's something that is more holistic. It's not a reaction against masculinity at all. It's something that is male, female, masculine, feminine, balanced, so that we can get to this next level of ascension. There cannot be duality if we're going to move into this next level of ascension. You feel us being pulled apart. The astrology of 2025, there's a lot of indicators in that, especially the early part of the year, that talk about big events that, if we are this polarity, right? If we are pulling apart and pulling apart and pulling apart, we are coming back into oneness. It could come in upside down or right side up, but we are moving into oneness over the next 3 to 5 years. The divine feminine here is leading that charge by incorporating her divine masculine, internal masculine feminine, by incorporating that in her life, by kind of transforming how relationship works. Starts with the self. Really remarkable. 3 of Wands, 9 of Swords, 4 of Cups. I can see that. 6 of Pentacles in service. There's justice again. Balance is key here. 10 of Pentacles. How do we balance wealth with service to others? How do we balance that? How do we, how do we deal with all the mental health issues? How do we deal with the stagnation? How are we dealing with that? This is the divine feminine energy, 3 of wands. Okay, I will be a conduit for that. Please bring that to me. I will shine that light. All of you will be shining this light as well. It's sort of like this is the place for health and home and love and joy and happiness. We are shining that light. See that ship coming in? It's coming in. There's anxiety around it coming in for sure. There's a feeling of stubbornness from people who don't want that, All right. So there's some kind of balance around financial, a rebalancing of the financial circumstances so that there's resources, all right, to help people. There's going to be a rebalancing of resources to help people. Fool, world, wow. 7 of Pentacles. Going to take a little time here. This is going to be 6 to 7 years of a rebalancing. Look at this. Fool to the world. The whole tarot deck between these two. Okay. So it's between the world and the fool. Right? This is the beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega. This is the closing of a cycle and the time that it takes to invest in these new learnings. So the new learning, it just feels like, I haven't even talked about this really. That is Leo energy, the King of Wands. Very entrepreneurial, very powerful, very heart-centered. You can see his hand on his heart, very heart-centered. This is the alignment with the divine masculine that has integrated their divine feminine energy. That is going to be the tipping point here, that the feminine energy is going to be so aligned with joy and love that the aligned masculine is part of it. We are all one. And that whoever is in alignment with that truth is going to be in this alignment. I see 7 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups, and these are 7s are very spiritual energy. So this is Libra energy. We are still in Libra time. And Libra finishes out at the end of or late October. So the 21st, 22nd of October, we'll be moving into Scorpio time. Scorpio is the energy of death and transformation. And I'm also talking about Pluto, the god of death, right? Pluto rules Scorpio. So Pluto making its way in Scorpio time to transition into Aquarius. So there is something here about being, like dragged through the underworld a little bit to emerge a completely new experience. Divine feminine leading the charge here. Divine feminine being at the helm. So yes, there's anxiety, the 9 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, Magician. That's interesting. That's Mercury. And the Judgment card. I feel that there are some divine masculines in this reading who are removing themselves from stubbornness or removing themselves from stuck places. It's almost like they can't help it, being drawn to this light, being drawn to this love when being in such darkness. It's like, do you want to stay in the darkness or do you want to come toward life, light, and love? So the real ask here for the divine feminine is to really lean into that Lilith energy. Lilith is right now at 29 degrees, and I believe it's retrograde, 29 degrees of Libra, the very last, like I said in the beginning of this reading. And wherever that falls in your chart is going to show you what part of your life is being impacted by this square, right? Pluto, 29 degrees Capricorn, squaring Lilith at 29 degrees Libra. A square is tension, pressure. And Capricorn says, I am the traditional, I am the tried and true, I am the institutions that have been built. And Lilith says, yes, but if there has been a imbalance, right? Libra energy. If there has been an imbalance in those, they need to go. Scorpio, Pluto. They need to transform. And so this time period, by the time we get into Scorpio time, which is right when Pluto goes direct, Pluto's going direct this week. Pluto will move into Aquarius November 19th, just before Scorpio season ends. And Pluto is the god of the underworld. So Pluto basically, in a very short period of time here, because of this Lilith square, I feel like we are going to be shown, I hate to use the term dragged through because that just sounds super awful, but with this Lilith energy, there's a balancing, a divine feminine leaning into balance, leaning into something that is fair and just, right? Justice, fair and just and loving, as we hand off the baton to Aquarius later this month as Pluto moves in there. That's going to be the thing. There's something about justice here. Like justice will be balanced. Talk to me about this Ace of Swords. Seven of Swords. Any lies? Oh, deception. There's the devil energy. Nine of Cups and the Star card. There's the Aquarius. So any kind of lies, it's almost like if you want to stay in this, then that's where you'll stay. I don't believe everyone is going to see that Ace of Swords as a good thing. But for those of you who do, and I feel like the divine feminine really sees it. I feel like we're talking about the divine masculine energy. I don't want to do that. I feel like this has to do with Pluto. So it can be masculine or feminine. Those who don't want to transform, those who are most afraid of change, sitting in this Four of Cups, that's where they're going to stay. They're going to stay in a stagnant place. So it's not going to be like, it's going to be a situation where nothing ever changes. If you are not transforming, if you're not embracing the energy of transformation, then where you are right now, nothing will ever change. In high school, oh boy, this story, I'll never forget it. Mrs. Greger gave us a short story to read while we were, I don't know, waiting for the bus or something like that. It was just kind of basic in high school or in, high school, freshman year. And it was a short story about these two guys who were drug addicts. I mean, it was an awful story. And they're in their beater car and they're going through the Lincoln Tunnel and it's hot. It's August. It's like, 80% humidity. It's awful. And there's a huge traffic jam. They get stuck. And then when you get to the end of the story, you realize that they had perished in a car accident, and that was their living hell kind of thing. That was their hell. And I just will never forget the impact of that story, because it was sort of like they choose all little decisions all along their lives. They chose this experience. Their soul chose this experience, and that will never change for them. That will never, because there's been no transformation. There was no transformation in their life. And if you have a life that is about to undergo a big transformation, Lilith, lean into it. Lean into it. That is how the divine feminine transcends this situation. Even though it scares you, lean into it. If you have a decision ahead of you that you know is going to be transformational in your life, lean into it. Lean into it. So I'm going to talk more about the astrology that we're working on here. I haven't even talked about Jupiter retrograde. I haven't even talked about what might be ahead as we move into Scorpio season. This is turning into be a much bigger reading than I thought it would, but that's fine. So let's keep going. If this is your reading, if you are a divine feminine at the edge, lean into it. All right. If you want to continue on, if this is your reading, there's a link below and I will see you over there. All right. I hope you enjoyed that video. If it was helpful to you, please consider liking this video and sharing it with anybody who might have a need for similar kind of information. And if you like this video, check out these videos.